Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Sports Code. It has been a long time. It has been 3 or 4 months now since our last podcast. So welcome back. For our first one, of course, we are heavily depleted on numbers. I'm your host, Killian Reardon. We have no Owen, we have no Dara, and we have no Dylan for today's podcast. So it's me and
Ethan.
And today we have a special guest on the podcast. Our once in a lifetime opportunity to have someone that actually knows what he's talking about
Our Super
the
Bowl
NFL,
specialist.
Our Super Bowl specialist. And that man's name is Sam.
Hello. It's a pleasure to be joining us.
It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Big pleasure.
Big week in the NFL. But first we want to talk about the football, because that is our usual spot, and that's me and Ethan's speciality.
Oh, yeah.
However, on this podcast, on the Spotify version, you'll be able to hear Dara's opinion on the rugby and Dylan's opinions on the League of Ireland going forward, and how Bo's got on the weekend. Now, if you did watch it, not much went on, but he managed to make something entertaining, so be sure to tune in on Spotify for that. Anyway, to start with the Premier League and to get your misery out the way, Ethan, the main game, I think, besides the Liverpool game, which we will get on to in a minute, Man United, Tottenham, I almost want to get your rant out the way because I feel one brewing. How do you feel?
How do I feel? Well, we've not had this podcast 3 months, 4 months. Last podcast we did Spurs, we were doing okay. Sat around between 10th and 5th, kind of around there. Since then, we have been terrible. We have been so... I cannot fathom the fact why Thomas Frank is still in the job and how we haven't at least sacked our medical staff. We have 13 injuries. Kudus is injured, Richarlison's injured, Spence is injured, Bergval's injured. We keep going. We have so many injuries. The United game, Romero, that was just a silly challenge. I don't know why he followed through with the foot. And, it was I think it was a fair red card,
yeah. But
I was raging because as soon as he got that red, I was like, well, that's it. And then obviously Buemo scored not 10 minutes after from, to be fair, a very well done, very well kind of set piece corner. It was quite tactical. I just don't understand why Spurs still have Frank. It's like when we play, we have no style of play. It doesn't make any sense. Our attack, we do have good players. We have good players in Xavi Simons and Solanke. I know he's only recently back. Odegaard's coming on well, but I was thinking about this the other day. If you look at Spurs' goal catalogue this season, we have scored some crazy goals. You have Richarlison's scissors kick against Burnley. You have his halfway line goal against Arsenal, and you have, let's say, Van de Ven's run against Copenhagen, and there's more as well. And even the other day, Solanke scored a scorpion kick against Man City in a 2-2 draw. And the way I see it is, our players are having to score these good goals, like these bangers, they're great goals, because we genuinely have no style of attack. Those in corners are all we score from. When we attack, I don't see any sort of tacticality behind the players. I don't know what Thomas Frank is practicing in training. He's just practicing set pieces. It's not working every game then, is it? We are 16th. We're 6 points off West Ham. West Ham! I thought after Ange Postecoglou there was going to be a change in this. We won the Europa League. Yeah, we sacked off the lead to come 17th. But what is going on? I know we're doing okay in the Champions League, but we've had a run of easy fixtures. We have Villarreal, Copenhagen, Frankfurt. They're crap teams. Spurs should be able to beat them. In the Premier League, we have been dirt. We've actually been so bad. I don't understand how he's still in the job. I can't understand it. He's so bad.
Okay, just to put a bit of calm into... That was a good rant, actually, I have to say. I'm almost proud of you for that rant. I feel like this is therapy. Me and Sam sitting opposite you. It's almost you're getting everything out. I wanted to ask you a few questions before I go on about my own opinions on Man United and stuff. I wanted to ask you about your opinions on Romero being captain, first of all, because there's a lot being said about the red card, first of all, and then obviously the figures aren't a good showing. He's got 4 red cards this season. He's very rash, and it's that South American kind of bully approach with most centre-backs. I'm sure we're all familiar with a few, but can't see how that can be a captain, especially in big games.
Yeah.
Sent off against multiple big teams. What do you think of him being captain?
Well, look, last season, so when we first signed Romero, we could kind of tell he had disciplinary issues because I think it's an overall of 6 or 7 red cards for Tottenham. I'm sorry, and I think last season, I think a lot of Spurs fans kind of thought, right, Romero, he's vice captain now, and last season he did get rid of those red cards, like the rash decisions. I think he only got one red card last season. Like it was far, even if any. He just got injured a lot. But this season, in fairness to Romero, he's come up in big moments. Like he has scored big goals for Tottenham when we desperately need them, which is crazy to say about a centre back. Once again, proving how our attack is so just unorganised. But this week, Romero actually just made a fool of himself. He called out the board for the January transfer window, called out the board for their terrible decision making on blah blah blah, and then proceeded to get a red card against Man United and probably a big game, a must-win game. And he gets a red card in the 30th minute, which is like...
Now, he will miss Newcastle, Arsenal,
4 games.
Fulham and Crystal Palace. Yeah. All games that, in a team that's struggling, you have to win. You need your 2 centre-backs.
We could get relegated. I'm not even...
That's a big shout.
Like, we beat Man United in the league under Ange Postecoglou 4 times, and we sacked Ange Postecoglou, 8-game unbeaten streak against United, signed Thomas Frank. Yeah, we draw 2-2 against them at home, but like... That game,
even in that game, United were all over them until
we scored 2 goals in the 80th and 87th minute or something. And then United then came back and scored 96th minute winner or equaliser. But Thomas Frank, he would be the manager to lose to United. Like,
now again, I wanted to ask you about your obviously talking about Thomas Frank, and I can understand your frustration, and I can understand Spurs fans' frustration with Thomas Frank. Is there anything that's clearly obvious that he's doing wrong?
The attack, the style of play, the attack organisation, the transfers we've made. Like, Thomas Frank claimed we were an ambitious club because we attempted to sign Semenyo in the January transfer window. We didn't even sign him. How is that ambitious? It doesn't make any sense. What we did in the January transfer window, what we were looking for were 2 central midfielders that can move the ball up the pitch, because Paulinia cannot do that. Bentancur cannot do that. The only player that kind of can do that is Bergvall, and he's injured. And who did we sign? We signed Conor Gallagher, the complete opposite tier of a player that we needed. We signed another defensive midfielder, which means when we play, we're playing in a 4-3-3 formation with 2 holding midfielders and then Javi Simmons at cam. And the holding midfielders, they're meant to be kind of box to box. They're meant to move the ball up and down, like Declan Rice, like Zubamendi, those type of players. But the players we have just make the big tackles. Paulinia, I think he's one of the worst ball progression stats in the Premier League right now. And Conor Gallagher is no better. Like, I do rate Conor Gallagher as a player, but he is not what Tottenham needed whatsoever. The other problem with Frank, I've already brought up about the attack. Oh, the attack is actually it's so bad. I've sat through, I'd say maybe 30 Tottenham games this season, and I've never thought, wow, that was a really good run of play. We've done the triangles, there was some good balls. Tottenham's side of attack is, we'll lob a ball over the top and hope for the best. We'll win a corner and hope Van de Ven and Romero can score for us, because they're both top scorers for Van de Ven and Romero. Or, let's give it to whoever, they can score an outrageous goal. Let's just hope for the best, lob it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So those are my 2 biggest problems with Frank. The other problem I have is his medical staff. Romero called them out. Stevie Wonder would be a better physio. He'd see more than them. They're useless. How do we have so many injuries? I know they weren't that great last season, but this season it's worse. How have we been worse? We had an injury crisis I've not heard a word about Kulusevski for 6 months. He was meant to be back in November. It's February. That's 3 months later. And apparently he's back in April. He's not back in April. He's just going to die. And we wouldn't even hear about it until 2 years later. It's ridiculous. The medical staff actually has their fingers, up there. I can't say it, but they have their fingers up there. They're just stupid.
I think, to be honest, it's kind of it's becoming a problem in football in general. Arsenal have had probably 3 or 4 years of major injuries now. Liverpool this season have God knows who in their back at this stage with so many injuries. It's the amount of games that teams are playing. I think it's even there's obviously better physio staffs in certain clubs, and even sometimes down to the manager. Like, I have my own feelings on how Arteta manages players at Arsenal, how Slot has been at Liverpool with the delayed onset muscle soreness that both Wirtz and Ekitike suffered, and then immediately playing 90 minutes 2 games in a row for each of them. So I think there's definitely ways that managers can and can't handle it. But I think the stacking
just to go off what he said is, you mentioned the medical staff.
Yeah.
So last season's medical staff,
somehow
it's a curse.
By some blue moon, they were bad last season, but they were somehow still better than this season. But the other thing, you bring up a good point about the manager situation. That's actually my other problem with Thomas Frank. We have a list of 237 million problems with him. If let's say, because Tottenham, they are playing a lot of games. You know, we have Champions League midweek. I think we got knocked out of the FA Cup, but we're still in the Carabao Cup. We're still in the Premier League. All of those, blah blah blah. In that case, go out and get some squad depth. Right? You don't go out in the January transfer window and sign Sousa, a left back who we're going to loan out at the end of the season. That doesn't help. I know he came on against United. And he actually wasn't half bad when he came on, to be fair to him. But he's not a type of player we need. That's been Tottenham's problem for a long time now, and Frank's no different. When we need players the most, we sign players who we just end up loaning out to a championship club by the end of the season. It's ridiculous. We need squad depth. You look at Arsenal's squad depth. It's outrageous. City squad depth, even Liverpool squad depth isn't that bad. I know you have Szoboszlai playing right back, but
I think
you have to remember you also have a lot of players. Like, you have a lot of players.
But even if you look at the bench in that, I think we'll probably get onto the Liverpool versus City game quite soon. But I mean, the bench you have, you had nobody. There's nobody. Who do you bring on? I mean, he had Chiesa, which I still don't understand his blatant refusal to play him.
The thing, I kind of understand the Chiesa thing. It's just because I think Chiesa is a similar player to Trossard. I think he's more impactful when he comes off the bench.
But he doesn't come on. He won't bring him on. Well. That's my issue with him. But even, I mean, in terms of going forward, our ambitious substitutions are Curtis Jones.
Yeah.
Chiesa with maybe 10 minutes to go if he's lucky.
Yeah.
And Gamoa, who's like 18.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
We'll get on to Liverpool in a minute. Just to finish up on the United game quickly. Since the last time we did this podcast, Man United started Ruben Amorim. If there is anyone listening to this that listened to me and Dylan's podcast about Ruben Amorim a few months back, where we thought he was going to get sacked after that recent run of form that he had then they went on a 4-game win streak. Then again, they lost against Everton at home 1-0. Then they went on a streak of losing, winning. Then they sacked him, obviously, for speaking out against the board. And now we've gone 4 games in a row. Or Man United have gone 4 games in a row since the appointment of Michael Carrick. I just wanted to touch that. Obviously, if Spurs sacked Thomas Frank, I don't actually think he'd probably get the bounce back that United had, in the sense that I think United is full of. I think it was genuine. You could see at points with Ruben Amorim that there was talent all across, especially the front line with Mbeumo and Cunha. And I know Amorim was unlucky that Mbeumo and Ahmad went on AFCON duty. Obviously, Bruno's come into a world of his own. Now he's got a free role in the attack midfield. And I actually wanted to bring up a quote from Gary Lineker today, in which he said if he was Kobe Mainoo, he would sue Ruben Amorim, which I thought was a very, very good point for basically halting a year of his career. Now, he is still very young, but
and very good.
That's a year of experience off the bat of an international competition with England. He's just looked so steady. He's calm on the ball. And Casemiro, there's no better, I don't think, experienced defensive midfielders to be alongside, to be a partnership with. And defence looks solid. I think obviously the signing of Lomans was a risk because they could have gone for Martinez. They could have gone for anyone else. And I think he's been great.
He's been very good.
If you've played defence, if you played centre back, you know that almost the confidence in your own play comes from being confident that if a shot does go by, the keeper's going to save it. Because then you start flying into tackles because you're worried that you're going, if you don't block it, it's going to go in.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with United with Onana, that they're almost flying into tackles because they knew it was going to end up in the back of the net somehow. It's great to see them playing a bit of football. They look fluid. I think genuinely they're one of the best teams in the league to watch, in the terms that something's always going to happen every game. Not every game's not going to be a bore fest, because they're going to go crazy going forward. They're going to throw. They're going to go hit you on the break, and they're quick. That does leave them vulnerable at the back. But look, that's something to sort out when you've got a more mobile defensive midfielder than Casemiro. But he's doing great at the moment. I think tomorrow's game is crucial. If they can win tomorrow's game, that is another step in the right direction. That's beating a lower league, a lower in the table team.
United Strand gets his haircut as well.
He can, indeed, he can. But that's beating a team that are going to set up in a way that, they're not going to prevent United hitting them on the break. So they are going to. Somerville's on form.
West Ham are on good form.
Exactly.
That'd be a bit of a bogey game for United, I think.
And
with how good they've been with Carrick, they swept City away. I was in awe of that performance. But I would be worried about West Ham. Yeah, but
wasn't really in awe of that performance anyway.
I think that was more of a tough watch than anything.
Spurs.
Look, I'll get one last word in on Spurs before we go, very quickly. Look,
yeah, go on. We'll let
you go back 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We sacked Pochettino after getting to a Champions League final and getting Champions League football again.
Yeah.
After that, we sacked Jose Mourinho when he got into Carabao Cup final, League Cup final, right before the final.
Yeah.
So he didn't even get to play in the final. We sacked Conte after him getting fourth his first season, and then he spoke out against the board. Nuno Espirito Santos, we sacked after, I think, 13 games. We were sat 9th. Ange Postecoglou, we won our first trophy in 17 years. Yes, we came 17th in the Premier League, but it was very obviously sacked off the Premier League to win a trophy, and he did fantastically in the Europa League. We beat United in the final, as you know. Thomas Frank has
a 28% win rate.
28% win rate. I think he has like a 17% win rate at home or something ridiculous.
Terrible at home.
I think it could be worse. He sat 6 points off relegation, 3 points off 17th where we finished last year, which is a lot worse than where we were at this point last year in the Premier League.
Yeah.
In the Champions League, yes, we're sat 4th. We've just had a what's it called? Like an easy run of games, I think. And the only big games we did have, we lost, like against PSG.
Yeah.
We also have for Thomas Frank his ability to get knocked out of the FA Cup already against Aston Villa. So really, we're not going to achieve anything by the end of this season. And yet he's still in the job.
And I just want to... So you've named Nuno and you've named...
Nuno, Conte, Jose and Poch.
I can give you two points for you. So Nuno and Ange... Nuno's win rate at Spurs was 50% in those games that he managed. Postecoglou's was 30. Ruben Amorim, as a United fan, his was 32. If you want to think, Ralph Rangnick's was 41 when he was at United. This is percentage win rate in the games they coached. Thomas Frank, 28%. That is abysmal for
a Big Six manager.
Exactly, for a Big Six manager. But I also want to touch on finally, just before we move on to Man City, Liverpool, and I'll almost transition it into it because it's kind of a similar debate in the sense that I think there's an ego with Spurs that shouldn't be an ego. I think there's an ego that they're a lot better than they actually are and a lot more historic than they actually are. They're obviously a big club and amazing stadium and a fan base that are very passionate. But I think for what they've achieved in the last 20, 30 years isn't what backs up the ego of, okay, let's go get this big manager and let's go with these kind of ballsy signings.
That's true.
I think it's almost like, okay, well...
Poch was the reason.
Yeah, I think he brought everything up, and you have one of the best strikers in the last 30 years, and Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, on his day, was unbelievable footballer.
Yeah.
And these players brought the club up with them. I think there's now an ego where it's like, okay, well, we're Tottenham Hotspur. This happened before we got to a Champions League final. We've had great moments. We have to go with these crazy, we have to sack a manager after this much, or we expect this, we expect top 4 every year, which isn't realistic because the budget that Tottenham have compared to the budget that City have and Chelsea have and United have and the will of players and desire of players to go if Man United come calling or if Liverpool come calling, they'll go to those clubs instead of Tottenham, because it's, if you're a Brazilian and you grow up a Man United fan, you're not going to go to Tottenham, and that's unfortunately a fact, and that's something that isn't necessarily their fault, but that's I think to transition, to move off, because I'm sure people are sick to death of hearing about the United Spurs. I'm going to bring it in to a similar ego topic of Arne Slot, which I think tactically he can never be at fault in his own head with what he's doing, with his substitutions, with the way Liverpool are playing, his consistent picking of Salah, the treatment of certain players. I think especially when Ekitike first joined the club, I think it was clear that he was by far their best attacker, and all of a sudden Ekitike was on the bench most weeks for Isak. Now obviously Isak's injured, Ekitike's having his go, and he's proving to be an absolutely brilliant signing. Now Sam, I just wanted to ask you, obviously heartbreak last 10 minutes really after that brilliant Szoboszlai goal. What went wrong?
Well, I mean, if you look at the game against Arsenal as well, the two teams in the running for the title, it was like we almost beat them both 1-0 by virtue of two ridiculous goals by Szoboszlai, and I think that's been our season. If he doesn't do something miraculous, then we're going nowhere. And on days when he hasn't stepped up as much, maybe, in recent weeks we've seen Ekitike and Wirtz step up, but there was just no synergy today or yesterday. I was just watching the same old shit from all season. Excuse my French, but it was the same old. Everything was just the complaints that Liverpool fans have had all season. I mean, it wasn't a particularly inspiring performance.
No,
during the game, it was just.
I completely agree with you, and I think if I had to give credit to anyone, it's Dominic Szoboszlai, because I think obviously we're going to talk about the Super Bowl for the rest of the podcast after this, but he is like a quarterback in the sense that he's playing right back, yet he's receiving the ball in the centre midfield, and he's knocking players off the ball. His long shots are a threat every single time. His balls over the top towards Ekitike are a threat all the time. He's a threat from every set piece, whether he's crossing it, whether he's shooting it. He's genuinely, the way he glides, he picks the ball up on the half turn from the centre backs, and he's able just to run with it. And there's not many players in the league who have the confidence nor the ability to actually do that. And I think to credit him, brilliant player. Unfortunately, I think he's surrounded at the moment by a team that aren't confident and don't believe in what they're being told to do. I think the only player that's playing with a bit of freedom is Ekitike, because they've basically just told him, well, you're the only striker, you go get yourself a goal or two. And he's looking, and I think the comparisons between him and Fernando Torres when he was at Liverpool are fairly uncanny, because both quick, agile strikers who are going to get you a goal. It's just tough. Obviously now he's out with the red card, which a lot of controversy. Obviously Gary Neville's come under scrutiny for his kind of punditry around the red card. It was unfortunately a kind of a tale of Liverpool's season, that they keep dropping points in these games, especially late on. What do you think is the cause of that?
It's frustrating to watch every week. I mean, Burnley, we were on top a couple of weeks ago. We were on top the whole game. We scored the goal, but then those last 10 minutes, once we kind of settle in to the lead, it goes wrong. It goes disastrously wrong, and I don't know what Slot's doing this year. I mean, I think obviously to give the credit to the defensive injuries we've had. I mean, Van Dijk has probably been our only consistent defender all season, and even he's had his struggles, and he's into his late 30s or into his mid 30s. But like, there's a way of setting up, and we just haven't found that. Every time we're sitting on a lead, we're coming under huge amounts of pressure. I mean, in that City game, that second half, we could have had at minimum 2 goals. I think Ekitike made 2 or 3 wrong decisions.
He should have scored from that Salah cross.
Yeah, he should have played it into Wirtz in the first place instead of playing it over to Salah.
That's true. It wasn't a great pass
Salah
at all.
was unreal with that cross, which is the the first time I've said that
in a long time.
While. He's just, you can see that he does not have confidence in himself anymore. This season he's had no confidence to take on his man, really, and to go with himself like he has. I mean, last year, arguably the best season in Premier League history for
you can make a debate for
an attacker. Like, he obviously slowed down by the end, but he was on course to smash, to nearly break the goal record and the assist record in the same season at 32 years old. And then all of a sudden the new contract comes in and he's struggling. And even with Szoboszlai, I think that's kind of a summary of our season. That City goal, the one that was disallowed for the red card, he was the only one. He was sprinting back.
Yeah.
He took that red card.
But that's leadership. That's him showing.
He's the only one that does it, though.
Character.
He's the only one every single week. Every single week you come out of a Liverpool game and you go, whether we won, lost, or drew. On the good days, it's Ekitike and Wirtz maybe had a great game.
Wirtz is coming to
on the mid tier games. On the losses, it's Szoboszlai. Who else is there? Where is everybody else? And even City weren't good. They were really not good all game, and then all of a sudden, with 10 minutes to go, they start walking all over us, and it's like watching City of old versus a nobody, versus a small team, because we played against them. We properly, in the first 70 minutes of the game, we went at City, and they weren't comfortable with that. They weren't ready for it, and then all of a sudden, we were like, right, we're 1-0 up. Let's shut up shop. We can't do that. We don't have the players to shut up shop. We don't have the system. Slot is not. You're right. He has too much of an ego to do it. He has too much of an ego and too much faith in his own ability rather than the ability of his players, and a bit of realism about himself to go, no, we can't shut up shop. We need to push on. And even when they scored the first goal, Curtis Jones, he takes off. I don't like him playing Gakpo right now. I think Gakpo has been our worst player this season. But taking him off for Curtis Jones when we're drawing at home, like, it's madness. With Chiesa and Ngamoa sitting on the bench, what do you expect them to do?
Now, me and Ethan have had our moment to talk, and we've given it 27 minutes of football talk. Now, let's get on to the other football, the American football. Now, possibly the most talked about event each year, bar years with a World Cup. I think it's a kind of a tradition that people stay up. Next time you stayed up to watch it.
Did indeed.
Obviously, Seattle Seahawks won 29-13 after pulling away in the fourth quarter. It was 9-0 at half-time with 3 field goals scored, which was just complete ball fest. And it was obviously the Seahawks win was a vindication for Super Bowl 49. It was their first Super Bowl since the days of the Legion of Boom defense, which obviously came against the Denver Broncos in 2013, and obviously they fell short against the New England Patriots, basically on their goal line 11 years ago. Talk to me. What do you think the Seahawks did right?
Well, I mean, the last Super Bowl was won by the Legion of Boom. Their last time in the Super Bowl, their offense cost them, but this time their defense was so good that even a lackluster offensive performance, it was truly a defensive masterclass. Even from New England, I just think that their offense was worse, so they gave up the worst field position, which led to 9 points by halftime. It's the worst Super Bowl since the last time the Patriots were in it, the Patriots Rams. It was just Mike McDonald and his defense too good for anybody else this season. Even with Drake May having, of course, getting one vote away from MVP, it was just too much. The 6 sacks, second most in Super Bowl history, and the 3 turnovers, including the pick 6. I think that kind of was the nail in the coffin. But I mean, New England being shut out for nearly 3 quarters, getting 2 garbage time touchdowns when the game is really out of reach at that stage. It was just all Seattle.
Now, there's a few things that I want to pick up on that you've just mentioned, and we'll go through them individually. First of all, I want to ask you about Mike McDonald. Obviously, the Seahawks head coach, who's almost a one-in-a-kind that you won't find in the league because of his defensive calls that he's calling. Obviously, he's leaned heavily on their dark side defense, to quote him directly, which has been extremely dominant throughout not only the postseason but also the season itself. I want to ask you, what's your thoughts on him?
I think he'll be in Seattle for a long time. Third youngest head coach to win a Super Bowl at just 38 years old. His defensive play calling is truly magical. I mean, his defensive line is great. The pressure that they brought with corner blitzes from the likes of, I mean, Devin Witherspoon obviously tipping Drake May's hand for the pick six. Their backs are really solid with the likes of Devin Witherspoon, but the ability to kind of mix up the play calls like that, the way he does it with the blitzes, with the ability to kind of drop back into coverage when he knew. I mean, New England didn't have a run game. That's one thing. Seattle. We'll get onto the Seattle offense in a while, but the New England run game was non-existent. I mean, Trayvon Henderson has had quite a good season for such a young player in the league, but that Seattle defense just got nowhere. And by the time it kind of got, the later it got, he knew they had to pass. And the offensive line, a lot was said about Will Campbell going into the season. To quote him, if you are a tackle and you give up one sack a game for 12 games, you'll be working for Amazon. I don't think that quote has gone down too well with his defense giving up, his offensive line giving up 6 in this game, and it looked like Drake May was cracking a little bit with the pressure, but also I don't know if he could handle the physical pressure that Seattle defense brought.
You mentioned Drake May. He was sacked 6 times. Obviously, Seattle's defense was extremely strong. To pull up some of Drake May's stats across the games before the Super Bowl, he was 43 from 77 in passes completed, 533 passing yards, 55.8% completed pass. He threw 4 touchdowns. He threw 2 interceptions. He had a lower than 84 passing rating. Which, would you like to explain what passing rating means?
So passer rating, it's a measure from basically 0 to, in a strange way, it's 153.8 is a perfect passer rating for a game. Typically, I think Drake May went on a run of 8 games this season with over 100 passer rating in a row, which is quite impressive. But in the playoffs, a lot of comparisons was made to Brady's first playoff run in 2001, where he had quite poor stats as well. But I think, those sort of comparisons are hard to make for a 23-year-old. But a sub 90 passer rating in the playoffs is going to catch you eventually. Like he did rely on his defense quite a lot, and to some extent his run game throughout the 3 games that they won. But I think that's what was going to catch him in the end. And even in the Super Bowl itself, I think it was a sub 60 rating. And I mean, what do you build an offense on if your quarterback is not going to lead you like he did in the regular season? I mean, 1 vote off of MVP in the regular season, and then when playoffs come around, just not showing up.
He was sacked 15 times in the playoffs. That was the first,
up to the Super Bowl.
Leading up to the Super Bowl. That's not even talking about the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl, he threw 27 from 43. He had 295 passing yards. He threw 2 touchdowns. Only issue was, this was all in garbage time.
Yeah, it was completely garbage time. I mean, he threw. I think the 2 picks can be forgiven in a sense. The second one definitely. The first one, they were still in the game as such, but I mean, a sub 80 rating in a Super Bowl, losing a fumble, 3 turnovers for his offense, and all 3 of them were him. I mean, with the two interceptions and the fumble. I mean, the pick 6 is a brilliant blitz by Devin Witherspoon. Credit to Mike McDonald, of course. And then Nwosu picks it up, goes 45 yards to the house, and that kind of was the nail in the coffin. That made it 19-0 at that stage, and I think that's when the defense really stands up, because at that stage of a Super Bowl, at that stage of any game in football, if you're 19 points down with less than a quarter and a half to go, you're not going to run the ball because you can't afford to run the ball. There's nothing that you can do there. But the 6 sacks he took added it up to 21, and that is a new record for a postseason. No quarterback had ever been sacked more than 19 times in a postseason before, and that's as much as he deserves criticism. He's definitely come under a lot of pressure from his offensive line, and I think that's what New England need to look at next, because I think that's probably their weakest area. Now,
I wanted to touch on another, obviously the MVP of the game, Kenneth Walker III. So for the Seahawks, they had 32 rushing attempts. Now, watching the game, felt like nearly every second possession was a rush. And they rushed 141 yards, picking up 4.4 yards per carry. Of those 32 rushing attempts, running back Kenneth Walker III counted 27 of those. And he was 135 of the rushing yards. What did you think of his performance?
Well, I mean, he obviously there's been a lot of talk all season. He's been the number one in Seattle for a couple of years now, but this season specifically, he's been the one to drive them up the field quite consistently. He's always the one to bring them up, and then his duo Zach Charbonnet has been the one to take all the touchdowns. But of course, Zach Charbonnet being injured leading into the playoffs has given him the freedom to go by himself, and it was quite cruel. A holding call took away a 55-yard rush and a touchdown for him, and it was in the end of the game. But still, to get a Super Bowl touchdown would have been lovely for him. I mean, he's the first running back to win Super Bowl MVP since Terrell Davis in 1998. So I think, to be honest, I think if there was one more standout player on that Seattle defense rather than the whole unit being unreal, I think probably would have been a more deserved Super Bowl MVP. But, I mean, we haven't had one of those since Von Miller in Super Bowl 50, so I wasn't surprised by a lack of kind of defensive respect. But, Kenneth Walker, he was the difference when Sam Darnold couldn't really get going. And, Sam Darnold definitely didn't show up as much as himself and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, JSN, Offensive Player of the Year, Darnold, everything's been talked about them. He had an 122 passer rating coming into the Super Bowl, didn't crack 100 in the game. Obviously, the one touchdown to AJ Barner, but it was about the run game for Seattle. That's what took them over the line ultimately. And of course, Jason Myers, with his record-breaking 5 kicks in a Super Bowl, over 200 points in a season for the first time in NFL history. I think he could have almost won Super Bowl MVP. I mean, he put up
incredible numbers.
17 points all in for the Seattle for the team. He outscored New England by himself, and he's had one of the best kicker seasons of all time, and I mean statistically the greatest season of all time in terms of scoring points, ahead of LaDainian Tomlinson with that crazy season in 2006. But I think between Kenneth Walker and the defense was really what tied it all together for Seattle.
And to kind of bring this Super Bowl into context of next year, do you think they can do it again?
Absolutely. I think I was a bit of a doubter myself, and I think that's been the story of Seattle. I mean, Mike McDonald was going to be an investment banker before he was picked up as an aide in Baltimore, became their defensive coordinator, and was spotted. And as Seattle have seen now with Clint Kubiak going to Las Vegas, which was announced like 5 minutes after the full-time whistle in the Super Bowl, he was poached. And at just 38 years old, being the third youngest head coach to win a Super Bowl, I think he has all the time in the world to build this team. I mean, Sam Darnold's still plenty young enough to go another 6 years at quarterback. JSN being Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, his season was just ridiculous to watch. They were entertaining on both sides of the ball. They really went, the big teams they went up and fought against, and I think it was so vindicating for Sam Darnold specifically. Obviously, you know, getting drafted in 2018 by the Jets, 3rd overall, huge hype going into his first season. In 3 years in New York, he just never hit it off, and I think that might be more to do with the Jets than to do with him. But he was doubted then. He was kicked to the curb. He was sent to Carolina, where, I mean, Carolina is a bit of a pit for quarterbacks, to be honest. You've seen with Baker Mayfield as well. And even Bryce Young is doing a lot to kind of change that reputation now. But for a long time, that was just a quarterback hellhole. Didn't really get a chance in San Francisco. And then Minnesota took a punt on him, gave him a solid contract, and he brought them a 14-3 season, but they didn't re-sign him, which was baffling to pretty much everybody. I mean, Seattle couldn't believe their luck when Darnold, but it's been years of him not being believed in, not being trusted, no one having faith in him, and he is the second quarterback ever behind Tom Brady to record 14-win seasons in back-to-back seasons, and for him that he was the driving force for that team in the playoffs. Obviously, the Super Bowl itself, it wasn't his day. It was more about the defense and his running back, but he is how they got to the Super Bowl, and I think the defense has so many young studs. With someone like Mike McDonald at the helm, of course, he makes the play calls for the defense, which it's very valuable because head coaches are far less likely to be poached than a coordinator. I mean, you'll see Clint Kubiak, genius offensive coordinator, going to Las Vegas to be their head coach. You know, if they had a coordinator making defensive calls, I think they would struggle a lot more next season. We'll just see who they get in on offense will be kind of the most interesting factor. To
move on, and I'm going to bring in, if you're listening on the Spotify version, you will now hear Dylan and Darius. Dylan's going to be talking about Bows and their game on Sunday and what he expects for the League of Ireland going forward.
League of Ireland kicked off again on Friday. Results saw Drogheda with a tidy 1-0 win over Galway. Galway suffering a few players being lost, you know, mainly one being Patrick Hickey to Bows. Hard out one for them to take. They've missing a few good players now, and I can see Galway struggling throughout the season. Drogheda starting strong, starting as they mean to continue. Then Shells against Waterford. Waterford were playing the home, and Shells this year making a few key signings and wanted to kick off the season well in hopes of a title charge and in hopes of being dominant as they have been in previous years, but 1-1 against Waterford. They didn't seem to be too impressive out there. They didn't seem great, and Waterford kind of, you know, both teams had chances, and I think 1-1 was a deserved game, was a deserved outcome of the game. Then on to Derry and Sligo. Sligo, you know, they're signing a few attacking players, you know. Archie Meekson from Bows, who's a good player. You know, the loss of Owen Eldon, huge loss for Sligo, but Sligo played really impressively. Sligo were great going forward and pretty solid defensively. Unfortunately, fell to 2 last-minute goals to Derry at the Brandywell. Hard place to go to anyway, and 2 last-minute goals like that, nothing you could do. Kind of great play from Derry, their persistence, their determination not to give up at the last minute. Then moving on to Sunday, Bows and Pats. Bows giving up a home game to play in the Aviva again, which I'm not a fan of. You know, it was great as a once-off against Rovers, but, you know, moving forward, I would have much preferred the game being Friday in Dalymount against Pats. But, you know, it was something that's meant to be a standout game, a standout fixture in the Aviva, and something that's meant to be an advertisement for the League of Ireland. 0-0, very boring game and very poor officiating. You know, Bows player Senna Mullen, new signing, in my opinion, you know, went in with a very harsh tackle could have easily saw red. I think everyone in the stadium was the same when they thought he was going to be shown red and he was shown a yellow card. Bows player Harry Vaughan dragged out, pulled down, nothing given. It's clear to see, the league is not amazing, and as a game that's meant to be an advertisement for the league, if I was a first time watcher and I'd never been to a League of Ireland game, it certainly wouldn't encourage me to go. The quality of football wasn't great, and on the Bows end, since I am a Bows fan, I will talk about Bows' performance. Bows were not good. Bows were very bad. Connor Parsons must have some dirt on Alan Reynolds, because I do not know how he's getting a start, especially when Colin Whelan comes on, and it's quite impressive. Connor Parsons, he made a good chance for himself running in behind, getting the chest and flicking it on past the defender for his first big chance in the second half, and scuffed it completely. And then moments later has another one-on-one and both shots at the keeper. You're kind of thinking, how is he getting a shout over Colin Whelan, who's an out-and-out striker, and also new signing Diallo and last season signing James Douglas-Taylor? Neither are to be seen in the squad, with a match preview coming out the day before saying that they have a full squad and that there's no injuries. So something to be asked about that. But overall, a few decent games. Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk postponed, but the big main event was quite underwhelming and certainly shouldn't be an advertisement for the league.
And Dara, we talked about Ireland's rugby against France, obviously.
Don't worry.
A humiliation job, basically.
I have a few words to say about that as well.
This is Dara, the SportsKODE rugby correspondent, reporting live from G-Town, Galway. I want to wish everyone on the pod, obviously, a happy Donegal Tuesday for those around the country who aren't in Galway or Donegal. You're still allowed to celebrate. Anyway, enough of the shy talk. Ireland versus France. Prendergast was poor. Not attacking wise, he was quite good. Defensively, he was just really poor. I know France's attack is really insane, but just flapping at the ankles, just not enough knowledge indeed to be where he needs to be, I feel. There's plenty of rugby players around, good tacklers, but they still can get in the right position and put their body in the line. You just don't see that from him. When Crowley came on, he was good. I wouldn't start him over 10. I'd give Prendergast another game, especially against Italy. I would, because I feel like it's a game he'll not be under so much pressure in D, and he'll be able to attack with more freedom, and he'll pull some strings together nicely. He has a bit of magic in him, so I'd still start him at the Italy game. But I feel a little poor defensive game. The questions have to be asked. As an Ulster man, it hurts me to say this, Jacob Stockdale was poor defensively. There was a few times he was caught out of position. He's always had the questions over his defence, but normally his attack made up for that, but his attack wasn't great either. So I think he needs to set the Italy game on the bench, try someone else. All the changes, Nick Timoney, I think, deserves to start against Italy. 6 tries in 7 games, I think it is. No pun intended. Yeah, he's every time he's come off the bench, he brought a bit of physicality and a bit of energy that we just don't see in the Ireland team. And I feel like he deserves a shot against Italy. Italy's going to come to the Viva with confidence, and they're going to want. They think and they can beat us in the Viva, which is something I never thought I'd say in my 19 years of life. But I feel like we will win. But we need to pull our socks up really, really good against Scotland. Garbisi was pulling the strings. He was just absolutely magic against Scotland. I actually never thought I'd say that, but Italy will be thinking they can scalp us here. No, I don't think they will, but yeah, any other changes? I don't think so. I think the bounce of the ball went towards France more than it went for us. There's a few lucky tries, there's no way Thomas Ramos meant to skim that to LBB, that just wasn't meant. So they got the bounce of the ball, but they played the better rugby. In the first half, it was more of a case of France were good and Ireland were bad, and then we just didn't. We just didn't pull our socks up at all in the second half. We got a few scores, but I think France took the foot off the gas, and when they needed to, they put the foot back on the gas. So, yeah, I think it's still going to be Ireland winning against Italy, but we need not just a win, we need a confident performance and something that can make me feel that we can actually not come third in the Six Nations. Like France have their golden team at the moment. They're winning the Six Nations unless England has anything to say about it. But a successful Six Nations for Ireland is bringing more players and finish second. You know what I mean? There's no point bringing in new players, as Andrew Trimble, ex-Ireland and Ulster player, said. There's no point bringing in 3 or 4 young lads and us coming fourth, because that just proves that the 3 or 4 young lads that we brought in are shite, and I couldn't have summed it up better myself. So, you mean, bring in a few two young lads, 2 Irish lads. Big up the SportsKODE.
Ireland versus France wasn't a great week for me. Another
week.
loss. Disaster class from Ireland, but I think first of all, I think I've got to give props to that French team. Oh my, they outclassed Ireland. If they hadn't taken
every way possible, I think.
If they hadn't took the foot off the pedal in that second half, that could have been a record score for France. France were ridiculously good. But to point out a few players, I have 4 French players that I thought were brilliant. Jalibert, the fly half.
Oh wow!
He is world class player. He is so good. But he's number 4. I thought Dupont come back from injury.
I think he is an alien. He is
every game he's going to be phenomenal.
At any point, you're just like, how is he real?
Yeah, no, Dupont was ridiculous. And I'm going to get onto this guy in a sec. Sam Prendergast. Every time Sam Prendergast had the ball, Dupont closed him down. Every time.
The reading of the game.
Yeah, he reads the game so well.
He gave
1 or 2.
Sam Prendergast no time to think.
Yeah,
and that really showed.
It was like he could see into his brain. He knew every step that
he's the best player in the world, Dupont, by a country mile. I don't think anyone comes close, apart from one other player, who I'm going to say after this player. So we have Bieri, the winger.
Oh my God, he's on for the record. He is something like half of the. He's like halfway there to the record for French Six Nation tries.
He is,
and he's like 22.
So quick. He is fast. He is like rapid. He blitzed the Irish defence, completely blitzed them. They actually didn't have a chance against him. And the other player, who I think second to Ramos right now in the world, Ramos.
Thomas Ramos, oh my God.
My God.
The kicking for him.
Yeah. Ramos's kicking ability is actually ridiculous.
You just never think he's going to miss. You never think he's going to
miss. The French third... he did miss.
He did,
in the early game. Hit the post.
There's such a confidence that it's like, doesn't matter how far, it doesn't matter how wide it is.
But here, I think it was France's third try. Dupont got it from I think it was the ruck, and he kicked it. Dupont kicked it. Ramos got onto it, got a foot to it, kicked it, straight to Bieri. Bieri's on it, bang.
That kick on the outside of his foot was ridiculous.
On the volley, like.
Even him for Toulouse, every time you watch
most footballers can't do that.
Yeah. I was almost like, did he mean that? But I mean, there's nobody else around.
Yeah.
He was ridiculous. It was a tough watch, but
France were just better than Ireland. It's simple as that. They outclassed us. But enough about those French. Enough about the French. We'll go on to Ireland. I think we're in trouble this Six Nations.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry. I know your friends love him. I know. Oh, Sam Prendergast, he's so great. He is. He crumbles. He crumbles under pressure. Yeah. I think in the second half his kicking was good. The first half...
But it's when it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. The first half, he just took so much time on the ball. Ireland missed 17 tackles against France. I'd say half of them from Sam Prendergast. The guy can't tackle.
His tackling...
He's so scared.
Like, it's been a problem with him for so long.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have...
He hasn't pushed on much.
Yeah, he has not developed in any. Yeah. His kicking was known to be unreal. Like we all knew that when he was kind of breaking through at Leinster, his kicking was unreal. His distribution game was quite good, but his tackling was the biggest weak point. The terrifying idea of him replacing Sexton because of his tackling, and he hasn't come on since.
Yeah, it's like there's only so much leeway you can give. Someone as they're developing, because you can understand it for the first 2 years. It feels
he's young, give him the time.
Now it's kind of like you've done this already. You've done a Six Nations.
Let's
see more.
Yeah, his tackling game is horrendous, and he just takes too much time. But I'm not going to only pin on Prendergast, because I think the whole Ireland team was pretty poor. I thought Tommy O'Brien was terrible. I thought Ringrose wasn't great, and I thought I've seen Gibson Park a lot better than what I've seen against France.
He
actually wasn't bad,
very average though.
But he just didn't.
Standards.
He's meant to be one of the best players in the world, and he just didn't show it. And I think Ireland's next game we have Italy.
If we don't,
Italy are going to come into. They've had a big win off Scotland now.
That was a fantastic
great win.
Game, I must say that was
the 2 tries were brilliant. I must say
wow.
That kick for the first try was, I don't know who kicked it, but it was outrageous kick, to be fair. But if Ireland could lose to Italy if we're not careful, they're going to come into that game, big win off Scotland. They're going to come in fired up, and I think especially against we have Italy, then we have England in Twickenham.
Away. Oh my lord!
Just drop Sam Prendergast for that game. I'm not even messing.
Yeah.
Ben. George Ford will close him down just like Dupont. England have a good team, a very good team. They play fast. Prendergast he will be left in the dirt against that team. Yeah. I think Twickenham game.
If he starts, he'll come off injured. Honestly.
Yeah, just take Prendergast off the field, please, for the England game, because they will. England are almost good as France. They are very good. England and France are going to be a good game instead of France. But
that'll be
the decider.
Yeah.
But I think leave the England game for now, because that's going to be a tough watch. Yeah. But the Italy game,
I think you give him because I think the Italy game he'll have the time that he didn't.
I don't think. I think they drop. I think they should drop him. I think they should bench him for the Italy game as well. I just think Italy aren't that bad. Ireland are in danger of finishing 4th or 5th this Six Nations. Scotland and Italy, they're 2 good sides. I know Scotland lost, but they're still a good side.
It's kind of a bit of a relief for us in terms of standings.
Yeah,
but I think he'll have a bit more time against Italy to execute a plan.
He'll have more time certainly than he had against France, and he will have against England. But I still think Italy are just going to come into that game. They can see Ireland are weak.
Yeah,
we are
they're
weak.
Shark circling, absolutely.
I think Italy could shock us here. I'm not confident in that game at all. But yeah, I just think, look, the France game,
I think we all knew what was going to happen going into it. There was a bit of hope.
But the first 30 minutes, 4 tries, 29 points down. Just France were better.
Pack it in at that
They were
stage.
better than us.
Now, I'm interested to hear obviously what Dara's going to say.
Oh God, poor Sam.
I think he's going to get. You're going to hear very similar.
If you thought I was bad against him, God forbid, Dara.
might be rolling in the dough.
I'm going to bring in a sport that hasn't been mentioned on the SportsKODE before. I'm going to talk about NBA trade deadline that happened. The trade deadline, it's weird because for those who don't follow basketball and would follow football, it's essentially the transfer window that stays open the whole season, which is kind of strange, up until the 5th of February, which was this year. So it starts in the summer and then runs all the way through the season. Teams can make trades whenever they want. And then 5th of February comes around, that's the final day they can make it. And that's basically a huge day because all the teams basically decide, okay, we're going to have to do some final changes. Then you see some blockbusters happen. James Harden was the kind of big name that happened. He went to the Cleveland Cavaliers from the Clippers. Now, James Harden's had a crazy few years in the sense that he's joined numerous teams. He was first with Houston Rockets. They gave him Dwight Howard. They gave him Chris Paul. They gave him Russell Westbrook over his time. All Hall of Famers in their own right. Didn't work. He turned up for his final season with Houston. He turned up overweight, refused to play, wanted a gigantic contract that was never seen before in the NBA at this time. This was in the 2021 season. Got his move to the 76ers, where he was paired up with Joel Embiid, a multiple-time All-Star and multiple All-NBA. And that didn't work out either. Again, Harden had disciplinary issues, wanted a bigger contract, wanted a bigger role, as they trusted Tyrese Maxey, who they just drafted that year in the 2022 year. They just drafted him in. They wanted to give him more of a role because he was a shooting guard, so small forward. And they did, and they trusted Tyrese Maxey. Now he's obviously one of the best players in the league. And they sent him off to the Clippers. And the Clippers, he joined with Kawhi Leonard and Chris Paul. No, sorry, not Chris Paul. Paul George. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Big difference. And still, they didn't achieve much. And that was a front court of those three. Zubac was in the back court. And it just didn't work out. So now he's with Cleveland. He's with Donovan Mitchell, which is a big duo. Very, very shooter-heavy duo. But we'll see how that works out. This is a multiple package deal. Another multiple package deal was Anthony Davis to the Washington Wizards. Now, it kind of came out of nowhere because Dallas Mavericks only a year ago on the trade deadline traded Luka Doncic, who was a once-in-a-generation player. They got extremely lucky with him, how brilliant he turned out. Would average 40 multiple nights in a row, was by far their best player, carried them to a conference final, was so close. And that was a team that they had Spencer Dinwiddie, they had what's the name? They had
Derek Lively.
Derek Lively. They had Daniel Gafford. They had multiple tall players to back up what Doncic was doing. And then they traded him out the blue for Anthony Davis and essentially a box of Tin Biscuits.
A crocked Anthony Davis who got injured within a few weeks. And I mean, I think that was a very dark day for it was a dark year for Dallas sports fans. Watching him and Micah Parsons both walk out of the city, maybe the two most beloved sports stars in the whole city, in the whole state of Texas, walking out kind of unceremoniously, unexpectedly, and to see the AD experiment going up in flames while Luka is maybe on for an MVP season in LA. I mean, it's madness. I mean, they got Cooper Flag in the end, but that's, you can't really attribute that to anything that they did right, more what they did wrong by ending up in the lottery, by unintentionally. That trade is almost like tanking. And
it was, in the sense that, so they traded Doncic, got Davis. Davis got injured on his debut. Kyrie Irving that week then tore his ACL, so he was out for the season. So then they had to play basically kids for the rest of the year. Managed on a coin flip with the Chicago Bulls, managed to get the first pick in the draft, got Cooper Flag, who's now turned into what we thought he'd be, in the sense that he's averaging high 30s now.
He's been very good.
He's been very, very good. Then they trade Anthony Davis a year later for Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum to the Washington Wizards. Obviously, numerous picks are involved, including first-round picks. However, that was what Washington received. Dallas got Chris Martin, AJ Johnson, Tyrese Jones, and Marvin Bagley, including a 2026 first-round pick and a 2030 first-round pick. That's a mad package, and including... So now Anthony Davis is going to go to Washington to join Trae Young, who's was with Atlanta Hawks for his whole career.
A chip on his shoulder sort of team. I think even AD, since he's left LeBron, has had a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Yeah. Same with Trae Young leaving Atlanta, where everybody thought he was going to be the one, and it never kind of materialized there. But I mean, if you look back, it was February 2nd of last year when the Luka trade went down. I think probably the biggest sports day of the year. It was the most kind of monumental moment. If you look at that, I mean, Chris Middleton, a beyond past Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Tyus Jones, Marvin Bagley III, and two first. If you said that was traded for Luka Doncic,
that is essentially
someone would be mad. Yeah. I mean, you'd be mad even to do that in his rookie season. Like, it's a kind of it's a madness that I think sports fans still, like Nico Harrison, still needs to answer for that. And I don't think anybody in Dallas will ever forgive him for that.
And there's a few quotes with that trade before we go on to a few others. He deserved the statue, which has kind of become famous. It was a fan outside the stadium who said this on a live TV broadcast. It's kind of stuck because he actually was on track to get a statue. He was that good. Same with, obviously, Dirk Nowitzki got one. It's the same caliber of player. They were that good. He could have carried Dallas to a championship.
I mean, he almost did. And
he almost did.
The year before he was traded, of course, they get to the finals.
And Nico Harrison to say defense wins championships. However, in this modern NBA, you need someone to average 40 a night.
Yeah, the best teams have their superstar. I mean, obviously you have the alien, you have Wemby, you have Jokic, and you have Shea. I mean, they're by far and away the best players in the league. Luka is one of those four. That's kind of a four-way conversation.
100%.
And I mean, yes, there was concerns about his defensive work rate and his kind of team's kind of willingness to target him in pick and roll play and in ISO. But to trade him in general is madness. To think that he was kind of obviously they saved a lot of money from trading. It's kind of the same deal with Micah Parsons. Jerry Jones obviously didn't want to reset the market for that. But is that money you saved worth years of turmoil and years of nothing when the first time that he came back to Dallas with the Lakers, I mean he was in tears watching the tribute video. He did not want to go.
He did not want to go.
I mean, I don't
see what it meant to him.
Yeah, I don't even think the Lakers could believe their luck when they heard when
Turned up on
Dallas
our
called
doorstep.
them to offer that trade deal. I mean, I would think that that's a prank. I mean, even when Shams reported it, everybody was like, "Oh my god, it's a fake tweet, it's a fake account," and then Shams himself had to come out and be like, "I can't believe it either," but I had to say that.
If you did that trade on 2K, the bot would tell you to get lost. Essentially,
it would walk out like a FIFA negotiation. It would walk out.
Just walk out. To mention a few other trades quickly before you get your word on the Ireland game quickly. Philly traded Jared McCain to the Oklahoma City Thunder for a first round pick and multiple seconds, and flipped then Eric Gordon, who they got in return, to Memphis. Jared McCain was very loved for his TikToks, his kind of personality, that he kind of was relatable. You know, kind of you not see many NBA players with their nails painted and kind of a kind of quirky attitude. So that was a bit of a shock, but he wasn't really getting minutes in the 76ers team. My Bulls team, who it kind of hurt because it felt like an end of an era. Obviously, Zach LaVine went last year, DeMar DeRozan went last year, Lonzo Ball went last year, Alex Caruso went last year. And it was kind of, I thought this was a transition year because they had Josh Giddey, they had Kobe White, who last year was very, very much on form. They had an aging Vucevic, but it's kind of like the last year you kind of get something out of him. Patrick Williams, who's been a bit of a flop, I have to say. But anyway, the Bulls sent Nikola Vucevic to the Celtics, and they moved also Kobe White to Charlotte Hornets, where he's actually from. They also brought in Anthony Simons, Colin Sexton, Ousmane Dieng, and Jaden Ivey. 3 of the 4 are point guards or shooting guards. They also traded Ayo Dosunmu, who's a big miss. He was a very, very much underrated player. Very similar to Alex Caruso in the sense that he's hustle first rather than points first. And other teams such as the Cavs, they waived Lonzo Ball. It's a pretty big name to be waived. Chris Paul was waived by the Clippers, which was, kind of for a retirement year is very harsh. It has to be said.
I think he's. I don't know him. And
he deserves
LA
a bit of
just
respect.
Had a kind of a weird. I think they tried to kick him out earlier in the season, and it was kind of. I think there was a huge backlash on that. I mean, for the point guard to end it like this, to never get a ring, and to end it like this is kind of.
It's hard.
I mean that
especially by the Clippers, where he
Clippers experiment
is known essentially.
He is the king in LA and
Lob City. He was
what made Blake Griffin good.
Yeah.
And DeAndre Jordan. He is what made that team work. And to see them kind of, I mean, like, what's the value in waiving him at this stage? Like, it's kind of a nothingness. I mean,
he's not on a crazy contract either,
I mean,
so it doesn't really make sense.
I mean, they get bossed around by the likes of Kawhi, and obviously James Harden is gone now. I think they win that trade with Darius Garland. To be honest, I think they win that trade, because James Harden.
He'll still give you 20.
He will, but his ego is kind of beyond his means at this stage.
Yeah.
Like I think there's been so many hissy fits that he's thrown that haven't worked. I mean, when he linked up with Kyrie and KD in Brooklyn, that didn't work. That was a disaster. Him obviously linking up with Kawhi and Paul George, and then turning into this kind of the unction, as people called the Clippers this year, like himself, Kawhi, Paul George, or Chris Paul even. Oh my God, it is quite sad to see him get unceremoniously dumped by, of all organizations, LA, like of all teams to do it, the Clippers.
It'll be an interesting to see how these obviously players work out. We're a bit over time.
Over the big games,
but we can do the big games. We can do the big games
and the Spurs game, because why not?
Said no one ever.
We'll do the Spurs game, sure, for you. Spurs Newcastle. Ethan, I'll give you the.
It's a small game, that.
Well, yeah, nowadays.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of. I mean, Newcastle and Spurs are both seriously out of form this season, but I don't think that's anything less than a big game.
I think 4-1 Newcastle.
Wow.
At Tottenham. Definitely at Tottenham. First of all, second of all, every time we play Newcastle, we get.
Destroyed.
We actually just get battered.
Yeah,
like
6-0.
I was going to say something outrageous there, but
Yeah.
we get battered. We just get battered.
I'm gonna say 2-1 Newcastle.
I really hope Newcastle win.
I think it's going to be 3-1 Newcastle. I mean, I watched Liverpool dismantle them recently, and they had threat going forward. They just kind of we had one of our good games of the season. I think we have to talk about the hair game.
Oh yeah,
It's
United
all
West
on
Ham.
the line for the hair.
I'm gonna go 2-1 United. I think it'll be a tough game. I know it's another 2-1, but I think it's gonna be a tough game. I think West Ham are very good in the sense that they know what they're gonna do now. They're just gonna sit back and hit us on break. Quick wingers. I think Castellanos has started well. He looks like a handful already. And Mateus Fernandes has gotten to form as well as an attacking midfielder. I don't think they're very good at the back, so I think that is a strong point for United. I'm gonna go 2-1. Ethan.
I'm going to go 1-1.
Oh,
I think, because West Ham haven't been bad, I think the haircut curse, first of all. Second of all, I think West Ham, I think Bowen will score early. I think West Ham will just kind of defend that lead against United. And I think, we'll give Cunha a late equaliser.
We've got a name drop of a player as well. That's the first time that we've got a goal scorer.
That's very risky. I'm going to say 2-2. I've seen United
I can see
games
a draw, can't you?
Chaos this season, especially recently. Both teams 4 wins from 5. I think West Ham will be the one to delay the inevitable with the not the inevitable to hopefully not the inevitable.
He is praying they don't win that game.
Yeah,
he needs the content farm.
Yeah, what does he do at that stage once he gets his haircut? It's gone. But I think to be honest, I can see the chaos being sown in for United. I think it'll be a bit of a scrappy game with both teams kind of coming in with enough confidence, with enough of a degree of confidence to kind of maybe overestimate themselves, and that's when it breaks down into a scrappy game. I think definitely Somerville or Bowen will get one of the goals.
Definitely,
I think Cunha's a great shout for the goal for United.
Thank you.
But yeah, 2-2.
He gets extra points if he gets it. Anyway, I'll give you your next choice. See the City, Fulham, or Sunderland, Liverpool.
Well, Sunderland Liverpool is a big game.
Sunderland
I would
That's
say.
bigger. I think to be honest, I think the title might be slipping from City. Obviously they got the win against Liverpool, but yeah, we're all devastated at that.
Please, City, do something.
We'll do Sunderland, Liverpool then, and then we'll conclude with Brentford, Arsenal. Ethan.
Sunderland Liverpool. I'm gonna go. Sunderland actually haven't been that great the last while with their run of form, but I still think Sunderland at home. Stadium Light's a tough place to go. Liverpool are not on good form. I'm gonna go 2-1 Sunderland.
I'm gonna go 1-1.
Okay.
Yeah, to be honest, I was kind of in between. I think we will score 1 at least. I think even though it didn't show, the synergy definitely wasn't there in the City game. We really threat wise we were definitely there against that City defense.
Oh, Crowdy, you don't have Szoboszlai.
Yeah, no Szoboszlai.
Oh, no.
Would be very difficult. But I think we'll nick one going forward. But I don't really have faith. I mean, who's going to fill in at right back at this stage? I think it will be 2-1 Sunderland.
Beats Arne Slot.
Yeah, he'd stick Gakpo at right back.
Get Klopp back in. He can go
play
right
11
back.
Gakpo.
Slot in.
To finish then, Brentford, Arsenal. Ethan.
I have to go with it. Brentford.
Nice.
Come
Okay,
on, Keith
what
Andrews.
score?
I have to go with Brentford. I'm going to go 3-2 Brentford.
Wow.
Actually, you know what? No, sod that, because actually Arsenal are the most boring team to watch. I'm going to go another 2-1. No, 3-1 Brentford.
Okay, so we said 3 different scores.
3-2. I'll go 3-2. I'll say my original.
3-2.
I'm going to go 2-2.
I hate it, but they're too good. 2-0.
Yeah, honestly, that's the most.
They're frustratingly too good. By too good, I mean too good at grinding at results, not too good to watch. They're terrible to watch.
Give us a 3-2 game. Give us a nice good game.
I'd love a 3-2. I'd love Keith Andrews to go and beat them.
Give us a Brentford good.
Now, to conclude, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. It's been a very action-packed podcast. We've covered football, we've covered American football, we've covered basketball, we've covered rugby.
I'm really sorry what Dara's going to say, by the way.
Yeah.
He's going to go crazy.
Make sure to listen to the Spotify. That's going to be released around Thursday or Friday, hopefully. If not sooner. Check out the social medias, specifically Instagram, because we'll keep you updated. thank you very much for listening. I'm your host, Killian.
I am Ethan.
I'm special guest Sam.
Yes, thank you very
Super
much for
specialist.
listening. And yes, we'll catch you next Monday for a roundup of the rugby again, the football, and whatever else happens. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a good day.
Bye bye.